So why do I do what I do? When many of you in the industry know that my background didn't begin with event planning or wedding planning or indeed even coaching and training. So after I left college, I went to London and got a job in the marketing department of a large international payment systems organisation. So I was working with credit cards, debit cards, payment systems, that sort of thing. And the organisation was owned by hundreds of banks all around the world. So I travelled a lot, I had a great time. I was 21 when I started out. And I really enjoyed what I did, and I learned a huge amount and ran lots of events and worked with all sorts of different products, all sorts of different people, all sorts of different nationalities. So it taught me a huge amount about diplomacy skills, about all the different people in the world and how to deal with all of those different people. And I love people and I loved working with people. And most of my work was in some way or other project management, whether that was putting together an event, whether it was launching a product, whether it was a marketing campaign. In one way or another, primarily my work was project management. And then I had children. And I didn't really want to be in California on a Friday night. Well, I did if I had them with me, but that wasn't really possible at the time. And I was living a long way west of Oxford, which is quite a long journey when you find yourself in San Francisco late on a Friday night, which I often did. Great fun when I was completely single and didn't have children, but suddenly when I had a little baby to get back to, I felt very differently. Now, I always knew that I wanted to work for myself at some point in my career. I just didn't really know doing what. Hadn't really thought about it. So what did I do? I did one of those online questionnaire things, and for the first time in my life, I did it for me. I had no boss looking over my shoulder. There wasn't going to be a boss. I was going to be the boss. So I did it for me, and I filled it in really accurately and honestly and openly. And what did it come out with? Party planning. Well, I just laughed. As I say, I worked for a big American organisation. We had people that did that. We had departments of people that did that. So I kind of, went back to the grindstone, forgot about it for a while. And then I went to a friend's wedding. It was a second marriage, actually. And I found myself getting really uppity, really annoyed at the venue. And I didn't really call them suppliers at the time, but what eventually I realised were the suppliers, and the way that the job in this particular venue in these particular set of suppliers had been done, or rather had been done not well. And I got really cross on behalf of the bride, my friend, who was getting really quite agitated, quite upset. So I sort of straightened a few napkins, sorted out the linen, made a few changes, spoke to the caterers, gave the bride a big hug, and carried on being a guest at a wedding, of which I'd done many times. And then I started to think about it, and it really got me thinking, planning somebody's wedding, planning somebody's party, planning any event for the host, whether that's a business, whether that's an individual, it's really important to that client. Of course it is. It's really important to whoever it is that is hosting that event. And so I started to rethink. And that's really when I realised, actually, it's a project. A wedding or a party or any other event is a project. It's a pretty one, it's a fun one, it's got a different goal perhaps to what I used to do, but it's a project. And I suddenly realised, wow, Sandy, you can do this. It's about project management, and it's about people. Two things that I have a huge amount of experience in. And so I went for it, and I set up, and I have never looked back. And I absolutely love working with my clients, whether they're corporate, whether they're party clients, and most particularly when they are wedding clients, when they are brides. And then I realised over time that actually most of the weddings that I was working on had a certain level of budget and were a certain type of client. Of course they were. They were people who perhaps were time poor. They might have had a fair amount of money. They might not have done. But they were certainly time poor. And in many cases, that's why they hired me as a wedding planner. And the more I spoke to brides over the years, the more people said to me, were two different things. One, I'd love to hire a wedding planner, but I really can't afford it. Or, actually, do you know what? I really want to organise my own wedding, but I just need a little bit of guidance. So that really got me thinking. And having done a lot of training and coaching over the last few years, I thought, yeah, actually, why not put something together? Why not speak to these brides, speak to real brides, do some research, which is precisely what I did, and ask exactly what it is that you need as a bride to help you plan your own wedding. And that is when the Emboldened Bride Coaching and Training Programme was born.